my major and kind of stay within this green world and like keep my knowledge there that I worked so hard for. And so, yeah, it started out, it all revolves around houseplants, right? How to fertilize them, how to propagate different things. And then I've done like different experiments with different products that companies have sent me. I'm kind of taking a step away from that. It gets overwhelming really fast in the YouTube space with people asking you to review things for them. But it's been fun. So yeah, if you are like wanting more houseplant content, and some of it is really niche of like how to fertilize a snake plant. That's kind of the stuff I make. And Wade, have you ever used like the Lomi where it creates like a food compost?
Well, this was on the tip of my tongue, but I was waiting for you to speak because I've asked a lot of people recently about composting, and everyone's like, oh, I know big ways to farm compost. I'm really not in your home. And I have no idea about this space. And I saw on your YouTube that you recently did the review on it. And so I wanted to ask you about it, like what your thoughts are on these home, because they literally, you put your food in there and they look like dirt, right?
Yeah.
I've seen this on Farmer Nick's Instagram as well. Like,
yes.
And I'm like, how does this turn into mulch? Like, it's like real dirt.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It basically, excuse me, it basically dehydrates your food and chops it up. So I would say it's really great if you don't have outdoor space, because if you can compost outdoor, I think that's like the best case scenario. There's lots of like natural microbes in your soil, whereas the composter, I feel like it kind of creates this sterile food material, but
because it dehydrates it so much.
Mm-hmm, and the heat kind of kills it off.
Right.
But I have used it with my houseplants, and it was disastrous. It was so bad because it's basically like dried up food, right? And so I sprinkled a tiny bit on, and when I watered my plants, I feel like there was just mold everywhere, and I got so many fungus gnats. So I keep it outside. Like I keep all of the material I've made and I sprinkle it in my garden or my lawn, because it really is not great for houseplants, just because it's like a breeding ground for fungus gnats. And yeah, but it's been so interesting because every time I make a video on it, there's like two sides of people who really hate the Lomi, think it's a scam. And then there's another side that love the Lomi and will like defend it at all costs. And I feel like I'm in the middle. It's like, I like it. I think it does a great job, but there are like limits to what it can do for you.
Yeah. Like maybe it's something that you should put into the mixture of your soil mix or something, and not just on the top, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Or use it outdoors. Now, but composting outside, what does that look like? I lived in New York, and I was like house sitting for a teacher who went off for the summer, and her roommate was this really fun girl, but she was composting in the back, and she went away for 4 or 5 days, and there were thousands of bugs. And like our city, like I'm like, where did these bugs even come from? And come to find out, she had like a compost area and like just had a lid. And from that day on, I never compost. I've seen like recently I've seen more videos of like farmers and gardeners using like food scraps and just putting them to their banana trees. But as far as composting, like what does that, if you do it at home, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, that's a really great question, because I feel like it's kind of hard to do in your own home. And I am still getting like into it, because we just got into a home that like has outdoor space. Maybe it's been like 8 months, not very long. And so I finally had the chance of like, okay, I do have a little bit more space. What can I do? But if you're just doing it inside, I feel like it can be really difficult. You're going to need like a space where you can be turning the material. And it's like a really interesting ratio of you need your like brown matter that's more dead, like the leaves and grass, things like that, versus your green material that's like your food, leftover food and things like that. And I think you do need more green material than you do brown. And so it's just finding that like sweet spot and being very patient with it and mixing it. But to find a space inside that you can do that is really difficult. I've done it like in a 5-gallon bucket. But again, like you need a little bit of heat so you can like put it by a sunny window, but it's not very like aesthetically pleasing to have a 5-gallon bucket in your window. Yeah. So yeah, it is pretty difficult to do it just like in a small indoor space.
Right. Yeah, I was like mortified by the bugs.
Yeah,
I could not
I would be too.
And I seriously, for like a couple of days, I was like, where are these coming from? Like, I didn't smell anything, but the minute I saw, like, it was behind this like closet door, and I like opened it, and I was just like, oh, like I realized right away, it was insane.
Oh my gosh, that would terrify me. I don't know if I would have gotten into composting either.
Right. What is your favorite plant in your collection right now?
Oh, that's hard. I have a few that I just love. I would say, like, I love ferns. I think they're so amazing. So definitely, I just have, like, the basic Boston fern right now, and I love that guy. But then also, what's it called? The Stromanth Trio Star. Do you know what those are?
No.
They have, like, a pink and dark green and creamy, like, variegation. They're just so pretty. I love them. I got one because I had my first baby girl, and I was like, I'm going to get some pink plants in here. And so that's like remained one of my favorite plants to have. And especially with like the meaning of this was like to celebrate the birth of my baby girl. So
yeah, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
What kind of care do you give the fern? Like humidity, or because even in Florida, I just find it so hard to.
Really?
Yeah. It's so interesting. I see these beautiful ones at the nursery, and I bring them home, and I'm like, weeks. It's like, and it's not even like, I have it for a few months. It's like weeks. It just like gets weird, and there's a lot of humidity in here. I mean, I could check it. It's like 80%. Just
wow.
Yeah, I mean.
That's so interesting, because mine gets so scraggly too. Like that is the one plant that if I kill it, if it like pitters off, I will rebuy it because I do love them. But yeah, that's a good question. How to keep them happy. I feel like people in North Carolina are like sticking them outside, and they're great and look beautiful. But I don't know. It's really dry here in Utah. And so I don't know what to do. I do have a humidifier by it, but I don't know if it really helps. Like, that thing is just sad.
Yeah, dry and cold, right? I mean...
Yeah.
How many plants do you have in your indoor garden, your indoor jungle?
Yeah, I honestly don't have that many, which I feel like surprises quite a bit of people because I have a whole podcast about houseplants.
Right.
But I think it's like around 30. I only have 30 houseplants.
I mean, you need just enough to make you happy, right? And those are fulfilling that.
Well, and and like with kids, there's like only so much mental space I can handle of like, okay, here comes like more things that I really would like to keep alive. And so, I have to like limit myself of you pick the ones you really love, but I really try not to go crazy. And also the other thing is like, my kids go through an age where they will like destroy plants. And so that's like another thing I have to remember is like, I don't have room because they can't really be on the floor too much. So, yeah.
Yeah. I know I see these TikToks of these little kids watering, like toddlers just watering plants, and hanging out with my nephew who is like 1.5. He like grabs the plant out of the dirt. I'm like, wow, like when does this change for kids? Or is it just their personality? It's hilarious.
Yeah, I
They're
don't
like
know.
cats, like cats too. Like my cats cannot be in this room. Like they
Really?
will. Oh, yeah. That's another thing too. I see all these videos where people have these cats laying in their plants, and like, no, like literally a snake plant. My cat Clyde will eat and chew.
Oh my
It's insane.
gosh.
Yeah. Let alone, I got this beautiful Hoya that was so long and beautiful from Jack's Jungle, and I had it, and I took this beautiful picture. The doorbell rang. I got like sidetracked, went outside. I was gardening. I come in and it's all over the floor. I'm like, Clyde ate the whole
Oh,
thing. It's
stop.
insane. It's
That
insane.
is insane.